Opening match from Clearwater, Florida. Countryside, Maple Lanes Countryside is the site. And I'm Phil Barella, Tom Carter here for the Giant Petraglia BVL Open.
Our first match, Brian LeClair with Norm Duke.
Who do we got for a stepladder here, Tom?
Well, the first match we got Brian LeClair with Norm Duke, and the winner of that match goes on to play Brian Kretzer, and then Walter Ray Williams, and then Sammy Ventura, our tournament leader, who has never won before. Just a little delay waiting to get started here, getting everything set up. And Brian LeClair's first shot, he came through a phenomenal game in the position round to get to the show. He had to beat Ryan Schaefer, which he did. He shoots a wonderful 250 game to jump into that fifth spot.
And there you see Brian LeClair, knee brace in place once again. I thought I didn't see it earlier in the week, Tom. Did he have it on all week long?
No, he didn't.
Yeah, today's when it made the appearance again.
Norm kind of came out of nowhere through the qualifying, just picking away at the ladder, and makes it to the show. He had to bowl Walter Ray in the position round, but Walter shot 250 to jump clear to second.
There's Duke. You see them playing that deep out, that way outside line, I should say.
That's where they've been playing all week. This is a 37-foot pattern. It's got 28 mils of oil. It's 3-to-1 the ratio, so there's a little bit more build-up in the middle. But it is definitely playable on the gutter. And when you give Norm the gutter, that's where he's going to play.
No doubt about it. And Duke going to go up the outside at that 9-pin. No problem covering it up. And Duke, I'll tell you what, there's a reason why that man's number one in the Flow Bowling Power Rankings right now, as the two wins back-to-back, Indianapolis, Jonesboro, on the PBA tour.
On the regular tour, against the kids, and bowling on two different lane patterns.
Yes.
He likes that. The tougher they are, the better he likes to grind. Norm throwing what we call a big ball, big weight block, a lot of surface. He's actually got that pin, which normally is odd for Norm Duke. He has a ball with the pin down under the ring finger, and the mass bias kicked way out. He wants a ball just to roll and not transition hard on the back end. 37-foot pattern. You've got 23 feet of dry lane. You don't need something turning left as soon as it hits 38 foot. It's just going to roll when it hits the end of the pattern. LeClair basically doing the same thing. He is throwing a symmetrical ball, pin down, hold down, real smooth ball. It's got a little bit of shine to it, but he's got so much hand and great speed. You know, he's been staying to the outside. You'll see guys migrate into around 10 and kind of swing it, but for the most part, the whole week guys have been playing up the outside. And when I mean up the outside, they were playing up 2-3, 3-4. Joel Carlson bowled right next to me, and he was throwing it up 1-2 at 100 mile an hour. Just keep it on line, because that's where the best carry was. You could move in and swing the ball and get it to the pocket, but your carry percentage wasn't as good.
There you see LeClair all even after two.
LeClair leading after the first day, and I kind of nicknamed him Sir Strike a lot because he was striking a bunch. See, and that's the problem with hooking the ball. If you get a little bit slow, it comes off that pattern so hard, it comes in high. And the guys that were keeping it really firm and straighter, especially through the front part of the lane, that first 20 feet, they had a much better look, and their carry percentage was unbelievable. I crossed with Bill Peters from Dayton, Ohio, and Bill, 6'3", 6'4", big guy, a lot of speed, and he kept it to the outside, straight up the lane, all through qualifying. Was 420 over. unfortunately, in the match play rounds today, didn't fare quite as well. That ball started up early. He never got that parallel to the lane. And if you point that ball up a little bit, you're hoping for a little hold because it's a 3-to-1 pattern, a little more oil in the middle. But there is no hold. You'd like to think there is. If you got it into around 13, 14 with a lot of speed, then you had some hold. But anything outside the ball is going to migrate. It's going to hook.
Well, considering the way these guys were firing strikes today, Tom, on this Petraglia pattern when it was fresh, I mean, it took 235, 240 averages to get out of rounds in advance.
And that's what I've been talking about. There's just so much. I mean, the scores were so high because the guys were playing outside. And Norm's actually farther inside right now than he was during qualifying. The guys are playing more between first and second arrow. They were outside. They were like 3, 4, 5, all day today. But, they had the lanes done. The pattern's been sitting for a while. And some of that oil just, oil's going to seek its own level. It's going to smooth out a little bit. And every time they oiled, the guys kept saying the outsides are getting tighter. They're getting tighter. They're getting tighter. But I still think you're going to see Walter Ray when he gets on the show. He's going to be way out kind of giving it to the pocket. I just don't like the fact when they move in, the carry, even if they hit the pocket, the carry kind of goes away for them.
There's LeClair. Boy, that ball gets out to about third board at the break point and comes in nicely. Keeps a 2-pin advantage. Pardon me, 2-pin deficit, to Norm after that strike. But he can take his first lead in the match.
Yeah.
He doubles up here in the fifth.
If he doubles up. He struck on this lane once, but then came in high the next shot. So the guys are playing them totally different than they did right now. So they're waiting for the lanes to kind of settle down.
And that's not a big ball, LeClair's
no,
using, but big enough.
That's what I said earlier.
Yeah.
And it's got some lane shine to it.
Yeah.
So, but he's got such a great rev rate. And that's the problem with swinging. The last one came back.
Yep.
But the lanes get tighter and you get it out there thinking, okay, they're going to bounce back. And it doesn't. And this is such a beautiful facility. But we found as crossing the house this week that pair to pair, there's a little bit of discrepancy. I mean, one ball might come back because the lane was great, and the next lane, not so much. It's just, and again, we talk about this a lot, this lane topography and how the oil just sets on the lane. And there could be a hang spot down lane, but you don't know it until you throw the ball there.
So the spare there, LeClair stays clean, no doubles through 5. Norm can take a 12-pin advantage here if he can put up a strike in the 5th frame. Duke the title last year, his last one on the PBA50 tour in Kokomo at the Heritage Lanes there, Security Financial Classic.
Dave Small's place. And we're going back there again this year. Not to Kokomo, but to 2 Dave Small's places.
Yeah, that event actually moved to Jackson, Michigan, to Jack City, and it'll be the Jack City Open. And another nice benefit for you guys in the 50 tour as Norm doubles is that it'll be a 60 event after the 50 event's done at Jack 60. So it's a nice thing for you old guys.
Well, thank you. Love being one of the old guys. Unfortunately, I can't be one of the young guys anymore, so I don't really have a choice. Norm figured out that right lane. He'd had 2 spares on it before, but he's been keeping the ball in play. I'm surprised he's staying with it. He likes to go a little bit straighter, but that ball's setting up for him just perfect.
That one's nice and straight for Norm. I guess it takes care of business in frame 6.
It's unusual to see him throw a pin down ball. And most of the time I see balls that he throws and it's pin up. He likes half ounce of side weight, 3/8 finger weight. He's got to be just right. He's kind of old school in some of those beliefs, but it works for him, obviously. He's got 40 titles.
Yeah, Norm, big block on qualifying round 2, 334 over for 7 games. Just an incredible total as LeClair fights back with a strike of his own.
Okay, that was the lane he got to bounce it to the ditch, and it came back. Now, what does he do on this lane? If he bounces it, Does it hang again, or does he try to put a little bit more hand in it to make it turn? Problem with more hand, if it does turn, it could turn so hard it could go right through the face. Unfortunately, you only got 10 frames to mess with, and he's in frame 7. He definitely needs to double up since Norm's already got a 3-bagger on him.
So LeClair strike here gets him back within 12. And that one almost looked iffy.
Yeah, but
he
never got that near as far right. He
Right.
tightened up that line. Stay away from that out of bounds.
Yeah. I mean, it is a 3-to-1 ratio on the pattern, but still, that's not a lot of
3-to-1. You know, when
miss area up front.
no, people think you got hold, and you don't. I mean, on your house shot, which is probably 10-to-1, maybe 12-to-1, even more, you can miss in, and the ball kind of falls back to the pocket. Out here, you miss in, the ball goes left.
Duke, yeah, that week 10, that's the only thing he really left a lot of during qualifying match play these last couple of days.
When you're using a big ball like that and you've drilled it with the pin down, you've changed that differential, and you've taken some of that, for him, that right to left out of it. And so when the ball gets down there, it just doesn't snap near as hard. So he's got to make sure it gets into a good roll and is headed to the pocket at the break point.
Yeah, the big change for Norm this year in the equipment game is going to the interchangeable thumb. Norm didn't do that before, and all of a sudden his rep from Vice, Cecil Scarborough, talked to him before the tournament in Indianapolis. Said, why don't you try one of these things? You only got to mess around with one thumb all the time. Switch that from ball to ball instead of having to mess around with tape from ball to ball. And boy, has that made a change for Norm, yeah?
Well, speeded up his play.
Duke here. Whoa.
He stayed behind the foul line, hit the pocket, but that wasn't really good off his hand. He was still sliding when he was letting go.
Yeah, and he's got to be careful right there, because if he were to do a test slide and still go over the foul line without going back, that would have been a foul.
That is definitely a foul.
So right now, Brian LeClair can strike and make this match even in the 8th frame, assuming Duke picks up the single pin.
Norm doesn't miss very many single pins. We've seen it happen, but it normally doesn't happen.
Well, and sometimes, those single pin misses, first thing Norm does is go down and check the approach like he did in that strike ball there.
Yeah, that was, and Norm has been known for having, shoe issues or approach issues, trying to get the right slide. I mean, a big part of his game is getting to the foul line the right way, and if his shoes aren't matching up, then obviously your release doesn't match up.
LeClair to tie this match with just 2 frames remaining. 2017 PBA50 Player of the Year. And when he won Player of the Year in 2017, he won this event.
Well, he's bouncing it off. And that's the thing about these guys. They're so versatile, and they see it quicker than the average league person. He realized that he can bounce it off of the gutter on the right lane. He can't do that on the left lane. I mean, he can throw it out there, but if he does, personally I think it's going to be a mistake, and he could probably leave another 10-pin.
To take the lead, he can max out at 248. Maximum score now for Norm Duke, 238. Huge shot in the foundation frame for LeClair.
He got it to the ditch again.
That wasn't a sure thing out of his hand.
No, he wasn't so sure about that. He's like, I hope this thing turns the corner. I mean, he did walk it out. Looked like he might have threw it out there, but I don't. The fist pump was, I got the carry.
All right. Well, it's a must strike here for Norm.
He doesn't have a choice.
Yep. He misses here. His maximum score goes down to the 220s, and that's just going to require a mark for LeClair in the 10th frame. And that's assuming Normie would punch in the 10th afterwards.
You know what happens when you assume.
Oh, let's see if Norm can assume 10 in the pit. Yes, he does.
Possible 238. Well, if he does strike out, he definitely makes Brian step up.
Yes. And count here huge as well.
wiping off those shoes every time, especially on this left lane where he had that almost ups.
So right now, a strike here is going to force a strike or more out of LeClair in the 10th frame. Anything less than a strike here, and you're looking at
finishing 5th in his tournament.
Pured that one.
We said it before on the telecast. When you see Norm just stare him down and post that shot, odds are there's 10 back. And that's a big lesson for people, that, especially young people that are watching or getting into bowling, posting shots, staying solid at the line. I can't even describe on how important it is to be solid, because you're going to make a better shot. You know, you're going to be able to repeat shots. If you're falling down when you're trying to throw it, if you're striking, they're not the same.
The strike here is going to force a strike out of LeClair in the 10th. There it is. You couldn't have you could overlay both those shots atop each other, and it was just an exact image, post to post. Count here huge for Norm as well, because LeClair, if Norm goes 9 here, LeClair could go strike 9 spare, and it'd be a tie at 237.
Well, that shot that is obviously going to cost him, if it does cost him, is that slip on that left lane. But he's definitely making Brian LeClair come to the plate. I mean, that's all you can do. Make your best shots and hope the guy comes up. Those nerves get to him.
Oh, well, that changes things up a bit. As we mentioned, now LeClair double. LeClair still would need a double to win, even if that carried, to win the game outright. But that also now lets LeClair get away with that 9 spare in the second shot for the tie. Whereas a strike there, and it would have been forced the double to win.
But he don't want to tie.
No.
He wants this first one bad. And I think he's got more room on this right lane. He's got a little more bump. Now just, and we've seen him a lot this week, don't bump it to the gutter.
Must carry.
To the ditch. Slow motion 10-pin.
They say bowling is a game of fractions of inches, and he proved it right there, because that ball's a quarter inch either way in that pocket, and that 6-pin may have gone around that 10.
Yeah, it almost did, and it almost didn't hit hard enough to knock it over.
Strike to advance, 9 spare to tie, 8 or less on this next ball, and Duke moves on to the next match to bowl Brian Kretzer. I like it, Tom.
I didn't like it. Did you? It actually entered the lane different.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking at targeting and stuff, and it looked like it was pretty similar. But did he was it the amount of loft he used?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah. It actually got into the lane different. He almost hit up on that ball.
Okay.
And it came in high. Now we got a possibility of a tie and a 1-ball roll-off.
Duke is the higher seed. Duke would have lane choice and order choice for the roll-off. Single ball. If they tie again, then it goes to the opposite lane. Right. Same order that Duke chooses.
Yeah, he wanted that so bad, and he took a little bit extra time on the approach, and I think he just caught up on it because it entered the lane totally different.
John Weber making the announcements to the fans here inside of Maple Lane's Countryside. Let him know the tiebreaker procedure.
What a beautiful place. The Laspina family does a fantastic job of hosting a PBA event.
Yeah, 40 lanes in the center. And all lanes were in play this week with the almost full field for this first PBA50 event of the season. Duke has lane choice and order choice, so he's going to go on that left lane first. You kind of surprised by that?
Yeah.
I mean, he had that issue in the 8th frame, but he doubled in the 10th. And LeClair's been pretty solid on that lane.
Yeah. Well, LeClair did have the one major hiccup on that left lane.
Yep.
So,
and Duke with the 4-pin. The opening there for LeClair.
Yeah, now this is going to be a little interesting. Is he going to send it wide and take a chance of it coming back, or is he going to keep it tight like the one shot? I mean, he had 2 different strike shots. They both carried, but
yeah.
Which one do you do? I guess maybe a better question, which was intentional and which one wasn't.
LeClair strike to advance. 9. We take it over to lane 34. Fell off of it, but it holds.
And that was in between the other 2.
Yep. So
Brian LeClair moves on to face Brian Kretzer.
we've got a little practice going on here. We'll be back with that second match between LeClair and Kretzer momentarily.
PBA Regional Player of the Year. Give it up for Brian Kretzer and Brian LeClair.
All right, here comes our second match of this Johnny Petraglia BVL Open Stepladder.
Brian LeClair winning in a roll-off. His strike to Norm Duke's 9 count in the 1-ball roll-off. Now it's going to be interesting to see how Brian attacks this left lane. I mean, he's thrown 3 strikes there, but they were 3 different shots, 1 wide, 1 inside, and the 1 to win kind of split the difference.
Yeah, 237 for LeClair and Duke. That last match. LeClair starting off with a strike on that left lane where he threw the strike to win the roll-off.
Yeah, he bounced it off the ditch then, but it's kind of interesting. He bounced that very first one off the ditch and left the bucket.
Kretzer took down his first PBA 50 Tour title last August in a big way. Took down that major with the DV8 Cup in Wyoming, Michigan. There you see Kretzer getting to the foul line.
Yeah, look a little off balance there, and the result is a 4-pin. Again, the importance of staying solid at the line, making good shots.
And Kretzer covers the spare nicely.
Kretzer throwing a similar ball to LeClair. He's throwing, I think it's a high road X that he is throwing, pin down, hold down. So it's just something that's going to start up and just roll smooth.
LeClair also last year finished second in the Suncoast Senior U.S. Open, losing to Mika Koivuniemen in that championship match.
You watch Brian's approach, the way he lines up, you'd swear to God he's going to be throwing it over the right gutter, but he drifts to the left and kind of opens up the lane a little bit.
You know, the one thing that with Kretzer's game from the days where he was on the tour back in the 90s, on the kids tour, and now is how much more his wrist is relaxed and back on these shots and patterns like this.
He's not all cupped up like he was.
Yeah. And is that just a change in style, or is he just playing this pattern that way?
I think that's a change in style.
Okay.
Yeah, we all change a little bit as we get older. We just, backswings aren't as high, rev rates aren't as much, wrists aren't quite as cupped. But that's just the nature of us, you know, progressing with the game and obviously progressing with our age. You know, it is the PBA 50 tour.
So LeClair keep the match even with a mark.
These guys are just fantastic spare shooters. You hardly ever see them miss something. And if they do, it's just a lapse in concentration. Just getting up there a little bit too quick, you know, in the moment. But most of these guys are seasoned.
Well, LeClair likes bowling down in Florida back in 2017. Won the Pasco County Florida Open to kick off the season. And, of course, he won this event later on in the season that keyed his PBA 50 Player of the Year run in 2017. And boy, oh boy, that's a nice roll he's got going there.
It looks like he's pretty comfortable right now. Things are getting better.
Both Kretzer and LeClair over $700,000 in career PBA earnings.
You're making us the problem. If you want to see our teeth, it's going to happen now.
And Kretzer puts a double on the board. And an early 10-pin lead.
Kretzer threw that ball, he said, all day today. He said he didn't need to change. I mean, the lane stayed pretty consistent for him all day, the way he played them.
Kretzer looking for the turkey.
That ball, the ball motion for both these guys looked almost identical. Just the color of the ball is a little bit different. You see Brian put his hand in the ball. It's kind of like Tommy Jones. He puts his thumb in first, rotates his hand around. I said that was pinned down. I was wrong. That was a pin-up ball.
So the pinup is going to do what?
It's going to make it go longer down the lane. It's going to, well, what we call store more energy and make it more angular on the back end. Which is kind of funny because most of the guys were actually throwing on this pattern what we call a 2-inch pin ball. A pin that's pretty close to the axis, so it just rolls up off the pattern. Nothing is quite that, what we call flippy on the back end that's going to turn the corner. Because a little bit too much speed, 2-8-10, not enough speed, bucket, big 4.
So LeClair can get himself back to even in the match with a strike here in the beverage frame, frame 5.
Well, it seems like he's, as a racehorse, a little slow out of the gate, but he comes on around on the turn.
Good shot there by LeClair. And Kretzer going to have to keep striking to keep ahead of LeClair.
You know, a lot of guys blow in their thumb hole. And a lot of guys in the league do it too, just to create a little moisture. Gives you a little bit better feel, a little bit of tackiness instead of using rosin. You know, rosin for some people just makes them hang up in the ball a little bit too long. But blowing in that thumb hole just allows you to hang onto that ball, grip it just a little bit better, and it still comes off. You know, it's not like it's going to stick. It's just you don't get that feeling like you might be losing it in your backswing. Should be an easy spare conversion for BK.
And there it is. But right now, that's going to give LeClair a chance to go ahead in this game.
Well, if LeClair can go all the way out, nice little 280 game would suffice. .269 for LeClair if he can go all the way off the sheet.
You see that elbow just set up around the hip.
Yeah, he rotates that shoulder out with the ball just to make sure that he's squared up to what he's doing.
And Kretzer, he just wasn't happy with that release, the way it looks. You see right there, he's kind of like he came over the top.
Yeah, he kind of over-fanned the ball. I mean, none of these guys are really trying to over-hit the ball because, again, 37 feet. Ball came off the pattern. Even though it's 28 mils of oil, which seems like a lot of oil, which it is, this tournament, we bowled 14 games, and it was a no re-oil. So A squad came in and bowled 7 games. B squad came in right when they're done and bowled another 7 games. No re-oil. That's kind of like we used to. Next week's the same way, but it's 3 squads and no re-oil. So back in the day, I called it the fresh, the breakdown, and the burn.
Now it's the burn and double burn, and boy, every time you get that 18th game next week at the Villages, it could be like very interesting.
Well, next week is totally different. 44 feet. And that was a beautiful shot by Brian LeClair. He is definitely bumping it off the ditch, but there's plenty of friction down there. As long as you get it past the pattern, which is 37 feet, towards the gutter, you're going to have enough friction for it to turn the corner.
So 22 the advantage now for LeClair, looking to extend that out to 32.
You know, guys, why do they put their thumb in first and the fingers? I mean, if you've ever tried it, you normally don't hit the ball quite as much. You know, if you bury your fingers, you're really trying to put something on it. But the guys that put their thumb in first, seems like the release might be a little bit cleaner. If you've never tried it, and at least that's what happens when I do it. It just never hangs on your fingers so long.
You see Brian there, 4-pin high, and was he chasing anything there, or was it just a little left on?
I just think that wasn't a good shot.
Okay. Because these guys are usually making adjustments, especially when they're playing similar areas of the lane like Kretzer and LeClair. They will move from shot to shot to shot, no doubt about it.
I am really surprised he used his first ball to pick up, his strike ball to pick up that spare. He normally uses a spare ball and fires right after it. You've seen it kind of migrate to the left. He slowed up on that a little bit. He might have missed it altogether.
So Kretzer strike series only down by 11 in that case.
Kretzer used to take like 13 steps to the line. I think he's shortened it up to like 7 now. It was just a timing thing for him. He would just start out with little bitty steps and just start walking, and when it felt right, the ball dropped into his swing and he threw it.
No, he's not in bad shape, even though he left that week 10 there. Still down by 12. So
it's a one-mark match.
Yeah, you're not at a striking distance yet. And what do we got for max scores on that, Tom? We got 247 for Kretzer.
269. 259 for
LeClair.
LeClair.
Winner of this match takes on, well, hey, out of the frying pan into the fire, whoever you beat in this match, no slouch, obviously. But
No.
then you get Walter A. Williams Jr. in the 2 seed.
And he today was throwing it fantastic, to say the least.
And then, of course, our top seed, Sammy Ventura. Sammy going for his first PBA50 Tour title tonight.
Bowling in pain with kidney stones.
Oh, yeah, he mentioned that when he first walked in on Monday. He's going to go get him blasted sometime soon.
Yeah, in May. But I said, you taking painkillers? He goes, oh, yeah.
Blast, not soon enough, no doubt.
Well, maybe that pain kept him focused today because he's our tournament leader, and that's going to be an exciting match. For any of you that might know Sammy V, he will be animated.
Well, he turned the label on that 10-pin, but is Kretzer, I mean, he's 9 counts in a row. Yeah, he's like got wobble in the shot, it looks like.
Yeah, the ball's not facing up just right. Coming in a little long. Ooh, that was a extended slide right there. You never know if they got it or they don't have it.
So LeClair can't exactly put it away with strikes in the 8th and 9th, but he can make it real tough for Kretzer's last 2 frames.
259 possible for this gentleman. He's just got to put some strikes up. These next 2 really put a lot of pressure. That was what I would call high flush, but 10 back.
You heard someone in the crowd holler, bring it home, and he did on that shot, no doubt about it. So right now with Kretzer's max being 236, LeClair, if he strikes here, he assures that he just needs a mark in the 10th frame.
Exactly. Sir strike a lot. And boy, when he gets on strike mode, that guy strikes forever.
9th frame for LeClair.
He's walking it out, fist pump. He liked that one.
Yep. And now it's striker, you're done for Kretzer.
Yeah, if he doesn't fill these next 4, he gets to go have a cocktail.
He will probably want one after possibly shooting 236 and not having an even sniff at advancing out of this match.
That wasn't good. It was farther right off of his hand and to the friction way too early. Ball just turned the corner, and it is all but good night for Brian Kretzer. Still had a great tournament, but that's not where any of these guys want to end up. They're in the top 5 because they want a title.
So yeah, right now 223 the maximum right now. LeClair, even with 9 miss, is 226.
Right. You don't even have to mark. Better shot.
That was
a little firmer. It just looked like he is almost flattening his wrist out at the point of release too soon, and the ball's just not picking up at the right spot.
So he's taking
hand out
too
of it.
much out of it.
Yes.
Not a lot of problem most bowlers have.
No.
Most bowlers are looking for more hand.
And you know, these guys have a zillion wrist tricks. I bet Brian Kretzer's got, I don't know, 25 wrist tricks at least. Just things that he can do with his hand and his wrist to create ball motion. And that ball went almost in the gutter, and that's what happened to LeClair last match. He got it way out there, and it just hung. And we got an out of range and swept him off, and now we need the 3-6-9-10.
The lefty 3-6-9-10.
Yeah,
2-4-7-8. And yep.
They're going to reset it.
Yeah, they're right on top of it here. I'll tell you what, all week long here at Maple Lanes Countryside, John Laspida, Joe Laspida, the entire staff, all over everything for the bowlers, the fans, done a great job all week long, and we always like coming to a Maple Lanes Center for a PBA event.
This tournament was held up in
Farmingdale,
Farmingdale,
Long Island.
And now we are here, and it looks like we're going to be here again next year also.
And as you see, the guard comes down, the hook comes out, clear the pins manually.
Tournament in the name of the great Johnny Petraglia, who shot 300 today.
Yeah, that was nice getting here on Flow Bowling. Got to see that highlight. Highlights out there on the PBA YouTube channel as well.
I think there's
on Flow Bowling.
Earlier, there was over 12,000 views of that 300.
And the backup ball for Kretzer. Well done, well done, sir. If you can't win,
have a little fun.
Show off the best you can with it. Exactly. So LeClair just going to throw his last 2 shots here in this match. He's going to move on to take on Walter Ray Williams Jr. And it's going to be a little different line through the front part of the lane for Walter Ray.
Yeah, they're not going to be playing the same part.
So our next match coming up.
That's all he needed to do is just throw the ball over the foul line. Brian LeClair, winner of this match, taking on Walter Ray Williams, the gentleman that has the most titles ever in the PBA.
So we'll be back with our next match here.
Momentarily, right after, be a little bit of silence watching the guys finish up, and we'll be back as soon as the next match starts.
Congratulations to Brian LeClair. We've been going for 2 games for Brian, and give it up for Brian. Congratulations, Brian. You've been great. We're coming on board for a little bit more practice. SBC and PBA Hall of Famer Walter Ray Williams Jr.
And you hear the announcements there from John Weber as Brian LeClair is going to start this match against Walter Ray Williams Jr., and that's never an easy thing to have to start with.
Not in the semifinal match.
And as things progress, here you see LeClair get the strike.
Walter up on the.
stepping up
There we go. Walter on the right lane, doing what Walter does, kind of keeping it high and hard into the pocket. But that's how he played the lanes all day today.
And they're going to have to get that score reversed as LeClair started the match. So they will get that fixed on your scoreboard momentarily.
Deadeye with a black diamond. I wonder if we're going to have a retro remake of Black Diamonds.
Is it if somebody comes in one of those hard rubber balls to your pro shop in Columbus, Tom? Is it tough for you to have to drill one of those?
Yes, I actually have a guy that comes in that actually has a black diamond and a black beauty, and he loves those things. Walter actually giving a little hook on that left lane. You see that?
So once again, that's Walter Ray with the 9-spare strike. So all they really got to do is switch names, and we'll be back into play here.
Technical difficulties.
Been a few of them around here tonight, but we're fighting right through it like everyone else is.
Brian LeClair feeling pretty comfortable in this semifinal match. But, you know, when you're having to go against Walter Ray, I don't know how comfortable you can get. That checked up a little early. He's staring it down going, I thought that might have been pretty good, but now we got an all-even match. Just the names are still in the wrong spot.
I'm sure there's somebody at the counter right now getting ready to switch those names out. And LeClair.
That is one amazing knee brace that he has on. I mean, that's like RoboCop. You look at that thing.
Yeah, Glenn Morgan Smith had the same brace on this week bowling, and Morgan Smith had a knee injury from skiing, a skiing accident. A little different for LeClair because LeClair was just wear and tear, wasn't it, over the years?
He didn't want to have the knee replacements that some of us have had. I got my knees working. They're pain-free. Now I got to get my swing working.
Yeah, you just had a knee replacement not right before the first of the year, didn't you?
Yeah, 28 weeks ago on my left leg.
And not the performance you wanted on the lanes this week, but good to be back on the lanes, I'm sure.
Oh, it is. Whoa. That's where he coasted that one out, but the result was better. He didn't leave a bucket this time.
That is a lot of 9 right there for LeClair.
Yeah, that was almost 0-9. Like I said, we've seen a lot of gutter balls.
So LeClair, thumb in, fingers in, and
Yeah.
hopefully spare in.
You don't see a lot of players do that. I know Tommy Jones does it. He does it. Actually, Wayne Webb, he did it. Thumb in, fingers in.
So LeClair down by 1, but can find himself down by 11 if Walter Ray finds 10 back on this shot.
Walter throwing a conspiracy pearl. Pin up. That's something you don't see Walter throw a whole lot of either, pin up balls. He normally likes to pin a little closer to his axis. He likes to see the ball roll a little sooner instead of shape up on the back end. But maybe since he's been practicing two-handed, his eyes have gotten used to the ball snapping on the back end.
Did that ball Walter is using right now come out a lot during the 3 rounds of competition he went through today? I mean, he's got 16 games in before we even got to this point. He had a Bocash's round today.
And actually, it came out in the last game, and he was used it just on the left lane. And a different ball, he was throwing, I think, a squatch on the right lane. And then the last match, he decided to throw that ball, which got him to second place.
Oh, you don't think he liked that one much, do you, ladies and gentlemen?
He's getting a little fired up. That's kind of like the Walter of old. He wants, I think he wants to get to 50 titles.
I'll tell you what. A year on the PBA50 tour where Walter Ray didn't win a title is probably his biggest motivation from last year because he finished second 3 times, including in this event to Michael Haugen Jr. Oh, the 6 with some loving on the 10.
Yeah, Almost looked like a 7-10 late fall, but he's still playing that left lane the same way. He's getting it out to La La Land out there next to the gutter, where a lot of people don't like to swing it that close to the gutter. They think they're running out of boards.
Yeah, our defending champion, Michael Haugen Jr., finished 11th this week here at Maple Lanes Countryside.
He just, in that last round, had trouble getting the ball to he didn't have a problem hitting the pocket. He had a problem with it going through the pins the right way. That ball not near as far out down lane. And that's where I just think he should be playing, because that right lane is just so, or left lane rather, is so touchy out by the gutter. It's just like there's a hang spot there.
Some of the other top finishers as well. James Stotts finished 6th, Ryan Schaefer 7th, Brian Goebel 8th, Amado Monticelli 9th, and Lenny Boris Jr., our champion, who's going to try to defend next week in the Villages, finished 10th. The head pin and the 4 were and the 5 were all fighting to take that 7 down that time.
It almost did, but you give it the old twirl, come on back ball. In that last position round match, Walter was literally launching the ball. He was getting it out on the lane and just lifting through it with lots of speed and literally a great amount of turn. I mean, sometimes people think that Walter doesn't really rev the ball, but he revs it a lot more than you think he does.
Sometimes people equate rev with how much the ball hooks, and that's definitely not the case tonight for Walter Ray, because the revs are there. It doesn't need to hook a lot, and it is so effective at the pocket right now.
Yeah, he's not giving that ball away much. He's storing all that energy for the ball to hit the pocket. And there's always a saying, straighter is greater, and I'm pretty sure he's lived by that for most, being a horseshoe guy. Straighter is greater.
Jeff Goodger and I were talking this morning on the way here, and we both kind of looked at each other in the car and said, Walter Ray is probably going to win this thing, because he rarely ever has to take the long road. He's rarely ever in the cashier's round. I said he's going to prove everybody wrong that he can't go through 20 games in a day and win a title, and he's looking like he's getting close. Well, he's going to go through 18 for sure.
Yeah.
If he gets to the title match, great shot there by LeClair. But, yeah, Walter, he's just got that, he hasn't won in so long on the 50 Tour. He's got that fire burning right now.
Yeah, I think he's fired up this year. Last year, he just seemed very casual, for lack of a better word. And he was okay with it, but I think that he's got a point to prove now. Walter going at a 290 pace if he goes off the sheet.
Yeah, Walter Ray actually has room for a 9 spare right now, where he'd still be tied with LeClair if they both then ended up throwing strikes the rest of the way.
Yeah. LeClair, possible 269. That's not shabby. We've seen a lot of games today, 279, 277 matches.
That one just looked flat out of the palm.
Yeah, that was almost to the same spot he got it the last time that struck there, but it just we're going through some transition now. He didn't look like he hit that as well as he did the others, but when you're not trying to overhit it anyway, how much is too much? How much is too little? And a lot of these guys, it's a feel thing anyway. They have great touch at the bottom of the swing.
You don't want to say this match is over if Walter Ray strikes here in the 7th and 8th frames, but it's the door will be very close to shut on LeClair if Walter Ray makes that happen.
The lady is warming up. She might not be singing, but she's warming up. And I think he likes what he has. He's playing farther to the right. When you give a guy like Walter or Norm their favorite shot, because they like to go up the outside, they're pretty tough to beat.
There you see behind LeClair's left shoulder, Walter Williams' bride, Fancy Williams, and definitely the most vocal supporter Walter Ray will have here this evening.
Yeah. And you might even hear her over the top of us if he strikes again.
Walter Ray looking to basically end this.
Yeah. He's pretty much put the nail in the coffin there. LeClair just going to have to go through the motions, and I think he knew he just had to go through the motions, and that wasn't one of his better performances there. Got that one in, a little soft. Easy spare conversion. But Walter is going to be bowling for another title on the PBA50 Tour against probably the most animated guy that we have out here, Mr. Good Stuff, Sammy Ventura.
And you can see that LeClair knows it's done.
Yep.
And now just Walter Ray polishing everything off. Walter Ray, 290 could possibly. And that's the one thing you hear sometimes with players where they go, you know, a player gets a big game and you worry about that. They worry about that emotional letdown after. There's no worry about that for Walter Ray as many times as that.
Walter's been here so many times. There's no letdown. He looks at every game as just that game. I mean, that's behind him now. It's a new game. It's another player. You can't live in the past. With the messenger.
When it's your day, it's your day. And you see the smile there for Walter Ray.
Senior messenger. Walter just kind of smiling about it. Didn't like that one. 2-8, but that completes this match. Walter Ray moving on to the title match against Sammy Ventura, looking for his very first title.
So you see the matchup coming up. Walter Ray Williams Jr. versus Sammy Ventura for the title here at the PBA50 Giant Petraglia BVL Open. Come up with that match next. Well, you talk about David and Goliath, Beauty and the Beast. You're definitely getting that right now. Sammy Ventura going for his first PBA 50 Tour title against a man who's just triple digits in overall PBA titles with Walter Ray Williams Jr. But you can't call Walter Ray the favorite in this match, even though coming off that big game, the last game.
When I was talking to Sammy earlier, he goes, I can't believe it. He goes, I'm a grinder. I mean, I've been known for grinding. And in the last qualifying round, the scores were so high and he was leading. He goes, I'm not known for throwing that many strikes. And he was just simply amazed that he was still on top of the board with the scores being the way they were. Sammy's going to be, well, obviously emotional. He's bowling under duress. He's got some kidney stones. He's going to have to go to the hospital in May, they say, to get those taken out. So he's kind of bowling on painkillers right now. So it could be a good thing. Keep his mind from thinking about the match in general.
Now, Walter Ray, he's not practicing on the championship pair. He's right next door. He gets to throw shots to stay loose. But Sammy with a little bit of the advantage on getting 8 practice shots before this match starts. So how much could Sammy change the lanes right now on Walter Ray?
He could probably change them quite a bit, but he's been playing, it looks like, the same line practicing as Brian LeClair was kind of playing a little more inside on that left lane. He's kind of across where Norm was playing and where LeClair was playing. Walter, again, still probably going to be a little bit farther outside and throwing it harder. As you can see through his practice shots, Walter really going through that swing, getting some speed and some turn on the ball. He's not going to give it away. Sammy's just got to keep all feelings in check.
Well, have you seen his wife, Tracy? She's
She's
out here.
She's a nervous wreck.
Is she inside the lounge? I know.
She did.
No, she is down there. She's sitting. She is sitting. You see her right there, sitting next to Fancy Williams. So the wives sitting together.
Look at this. Sammy Ventura, Mr. Good Stuff.
Won 8 times on the PBA Regional Tour. He's a 2-time East Region Senior Player of the Year. Syracuse Hall.
Well, Sammy knows how to win. That's not an issue.
And the hug and kiss from Tracy there before the match starts, but it will be up to Walter Ray Williams Jr. to throw that first ball.
Sammy's having Walter start on the left lane. I'm not so sure that was a good call, but we will see. That allows Walter to finish on the right lane. And that's 7-10. So, okay, where's the air gun? That 7-10 went down way late. You wonder if that gets into Sammy's head going, he's already got a break starting out. You're going to watch Sammy. He's going to shake it. He'll put his hand in that ball maybe 2 or 3 times, shake his arm out, try to keep as relaxed as possible. This is a big match for Sammy.
Responds to the early challenge from Walter Ray Williams Jr.
Sammy will be talking to himself this whole match. All even after frame 1, both of them starting out with a strike. Sammy, the traditional arm shake. Put the hand in the ball a couple times. Got that in a little inside. And Sammy getting animated, and it's only the second frame.
Great shot there by Sammy. Not backing down from the greatest of all time in some people's opinions. Mine included.
Well, when you've won that many titles, you've got to be pretty great at something.
Right. The greatest of right now is definitely Jason Belmonte. One of the greatest of all time, no doubt, is this man right here. 47 titles on the Global Bowling PBA Tour over the years, and here comes. Well, who needs a scoreboard right now? Because it's just a bunch of strikes.
Right. they both doubled. It's all even. Both shooting 300.
So Walter Ray. Going for the turkey here in frame 3. See right behind him a couple Hall of Famers with Johnny Petraglia and Parker Bone III. That looked a little left, but it held.
Well, he's keeping the speed on it. There's no doubt about it. Sammy looks surprisingly cool, calm, and collected.
I'm absolutely apoplectic about what you put on social media.
Sammy getting all loose. He's got some rhythm to him. Dead post and shots. Oh. He can't let that affect him. He wanted that strike, but he can't let that affect him.
So Ventura got to deal with the task at hand here. Cover the spare. Yeah, it's going to put him down by 11 early. But
Yeah,
7 frames left.
There's a lot of time left. He just can't let this. I mean, he threw a good shot. It could have been a little bit firm for him. Like he stared at.
Oh, you know he's going to give it a
Sammy
little
is
extra.
fun to watch. I mean, he is just fun to watch. He's staring that pin down. It looks like Sammy's going to start out putting his thumb in first. Then he puts it in, takes it out, shakes his hand. All those things are just to keep your arm swing loose. And that was loose. Yeah.
He's letting Walter Ray know it's going to take a lot more than 279 to beat me. I'm going to keep striking and get that 279.
It's hard not to smile back here, and just watching Sammy with his emotions and his antics is just like, this could be the WWE. He's like, you want some? Come and get some. Oh, you see that 6-pin?
How does the bottom of the 6-pin get around and take the 10 like that?
Yeah, that was a little butt hit right there.
Little 11 from the 6-pin on that 10. And 4 in a row to start this championship match for Walter Williams Jr. 21 pins the advantage, looking to get it out to 31. Here in the 5th.
Sammy's doing the right thing. He's not watching. You can tell by the sound anyway.
That's right. The crowd's going to let you know what happened.
Yeah. And Fancy's going to let you know what happened. You can hear Fancy in the back.
Yeah.
Look at Sam. She's like, I didn't say nothing.
Well, it's just funny because Tracy's we've seen her pace behind during qualifying, and now she's just there right now and trying to be supportive, and you see a little chuckle between the two spouses there. But you know, inside, Tracy's a million times more nervous than Sammy. Sammy's kind of feeding off of this right now.
Tracy's heart rate's about 200.
Oh, and you saw him, that ball got to about 40 feet.
And just stopped.
At the end of this 37th pattern, yeah.
Just stopped. I don't think he got through that one good. The 2-8-10, and that is not what you want when you got somebody throwing the front 5 at you.
And, yeah, you just got to take the 2 and move on if you're Sammy here.
Well, Sammy's throwing a big ball, but we talked about that earlier. Pin up ball, you get a little speedy, the ball doesn't make the turn on the back end, but then you get a little bit slow, it goes through the face.
So 97 in the 5th for Ventura. Walter Ray working on that front 5. So basically the deficit right now, 43 pins for Sammy off, and a lot of it's off that open frame right there in the 5th frame.
Well, that's definitely going to affect his mindset right now. He knows that if he doesn't throw this one and hands Walter another 11 pins, it's going to be almost impossible to catch. Much better shot.
Oh. And just a little fix to the last shot?
Yeah, it came in just a hair high. I mean, he posted the shot. He did everything right. It's just that the lanes could be getting to him. The lanes could be changing. Walter throwing it harder. I mean, he's going to keep it on line. I mean, when you got to sit around and wait for an hour and a half for the title match, a lot of things can go through your head. Good, bad, or indifferent. And unfortunately, you can't be overthinking this now. Just get up and bowl. Walter's motions and his procedure on the lanes is the same every time.
Oh, a cluster of things around the 7 finally gets it to go.
I don't know if a pin hit it or Fancy yelling at that pin knocked it over.
Walter Ray looking for PBA 50 Tour title at number 12.
I think Fancy screamed at it and the pin just got scared.
Walter Ray on the front 6. Dreaming of the dozen. 7th frame. Oh, pure. Just pure for Walter Ray.
We have the possibility of seeing a 300 in a title match.
Yes, we do.
And Sammy, unfortunately, if something major doesn't happen here, this could be all over, unfortunately, quick for him. And that's not what he wanted, as well as he's bowled all day. Incredible. That you had to be here to watch it, but he absolutely threw the ball fantastic today. And he's just not getting the love from the pins. And you can tell he's a little bit defeated already.
Sammy's best finish at the PBA60 Dick Weber Championship on the regular 50 tour. Sammy's getting, Sammy's going to be a fan right now. When the guy's got the front 7 against you, it's always that good story. The guy shot 300 against me. What am I going to do?
Right. He knocked them all down 12 times.
So Sammy Ventura, 8 PBA 50 regional titles. And in 2012 and 2014, Ventura, the PBA 50 East region Player of the Year. So we know Sammy's got game, and he'll be back the rest of this PBA 50 season.
Well, now the swing's going to get more relaxed because he knows it's over and things are just going to get, they're going to fall now. The pins know when you want and need a strike. It's just going to happen.
Here's the man on the front 7.
All Walter's thinking about is 10 in the pit.
Yeah. I mean, it's past the title now. Title he knows is in his pocket. But perfection is always great. And that 8 teased him for just a second.
It's so interesting watching Walter's approach. His first 2 steps are quite large, and they're kind of methodical. And the next 2 are just like boom, boom. They're really quick. They pick up the pace, go into the line, which, he drives into the line. That's what's giving him such great ball speed.
Front 8. Chasing 300 is Walter Ray Williams Jr.
Oh my! He actually got that lifted up on that, got that on the lane, and he knows that was a break. Sammy's like, what can I do now? This is
right.
It's done.
Sammy Ventura stepping up in the 9th frame. Can still shoot 226. Not
and a respectable
game. For
game.
Sammy, yeah.
But, when you got a guy shooting 300 at you, what do you do?
Finish out strong, take the 2nd place finish, and build on it for the rest of this 2019 PBA 50 season. Long way to go for the PBA 50 season.
The swing is more relaxed.
Somebody in the crowd hollering good stuff at Sammy.
Every time Sammy posts anything, it's, good stuff, Sammy having a little fun with the crowd now.
And Sammy knows.
When you're bowling the greatest, one of the greatest bowlers in the world that has won a lot, and not counting how many times he's finished 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, he's been in this position so many times. And I honestly believe Walter doesn't care if he's bowling his grandmother. He's going to pack 10 in the pit every shot if he can.
Absolutely.
There's no gimmies from that guy.
So there you see Sammy appreciating the support he's gotten from the crowd this week.
Possible 185 spare strike for him.
205 with
205.
The spare strike.
That was a frame off. That's what I was all through this whole tournament, a frame off.
They only let you bowl 9 frame games, it seemed like, watching some of your scores.
Oh, my God. Man, I could get to the pocket, but just trying to strike was – the first day wasn't so bad. And I said, everybody said, how's your knees? Knees were great. Arm swing was terrible. But it is what it is. I got to learn how to swing with my new legs.
There's Sammy finishing it off. 205
Sammy,
it is.
That's way to finish. Yeah. That's what we expect to see more of. John Laspina, his son, giving Sammy a standing O. Now, the man of the hour.
on the front nine, chasing 300, Walter Ray Williams Jr. Number 10, there it is.
You think Walter knows it's there?
Absolutely. Title in hand, PBA50 title number 12 in Walter Ray's back pocket. The other 12 he's looking for right now is the number of strikes in this game, and he's got 10 of those 12 already.
History in the making.
Oh,
boy.
And you know,
he yanked on that one. I hate to say it, but that was high off of his hand.
he wanted to give that one to the crowd, no doubt about it. But there it is. Walter Ray Williams Jr. takes home that title.
The winner of the BVL Open, Mr. Walter Ray Williams.
Once again, want to thank the Laspina family for hosting this great event once again. There you see John Laspina coming out, giving Sammy a hug, and Walter Ray Williams Jr. getting ready to get that great trophy. Tom Carter, thanks for sitting in the booth with us tonight. And we'll see you up in the villages. We'll see everybody else up in the villages as well, as coverage will begin on Tuesday from Spanish Springs Lanes in the Villages, Florida, for the PBA50 National Championship. For Tom Carter, I'm Phil Brylow. Parents take the kids bowling. They'll have fun for life, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday.
PBA50